I just want to go to Hamza. Hamza, if you could quickly tell us about the book that you read this week. And Hamza, as I said every week, he's been looking into making presentations of his Masih Maud Islam's books, just to make it easier for us to learn from them. And it's always good to be able to learn from them, because we need to apply all those teachings into our daily lives, and to be able to stay in contact with his books. As you know, he was a prophet, and we must take benefit from his words, because they are all written, so we can learn from them. So Hamza, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum Rabbi Saab.
Wa alaikum salam. Eid Mubarak, Hamza. First of
Eid
all,
Mubarak, bro. One second.
hope you had a good Eid.
It was good, bro.
Your Eid was about read.
Can everyone see my screen? Yep.
Yeah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So the book we're looking at today is The Truth Revealed, written by the Promised Messiah alayhi salam in May 1893. It's essentially a short collection of letters and articles around the time of the debate between the Promised Messiah alayhi salam and a well-known Christian missionary, Abdullah Atham Saab, who I briefly mentioned in Divine Manifestations about the prophecy of his death, and he also accused the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Allah being the Antichrist. So the book, it just starts with another well-known enemy of the Promised Messiah alayhi salam, Dr. Martin Clark, and he'd made some disparaging comments about the Promised Messiah alayhi salam in a newspaper article on the 12th of May 1893. He'd initially agreed to a debate over the truthfulness of Islam versus Christianity, but on reflection, he became quite anxious of his decision, and rather than showing his conviction of the truthfulness of the Trinity and Jesus alayhi salam as the Son of God, he starts attacking the Promised Messiah alayhi salam personally and questions his position as the chosen champion of Islam. He tries to go to the edicts of the ulama at that time in India and the Punjab, accusing the Promised Messiah alayhi salam of being an impostor and of being the Dajjal. However, the people of Jandiyala, which was the area he was representing, in spite of these accusations, would stand by the Promised Messiah alayhi salam as their champion, and they claimed these Maulwis who make such accusations are only there to create mischief, destroying the unity of Islam. And then later on in the book, the Promised Messiah alayhi salam, he mentions that the Maulwis of Amritsar said that if he is to debate Dr. Clark on the death of Jesus, then they will side with Dr. Clark. And in response to this, the Promised Messiah alayhi salam essentially says to do their utmost in support of Dr. Clark in any way they desire. It will have no effect on the outcome. He then mentions that already members of the Muslim ulama who are blessed with knowledge and have already started joining the community, and he had almost 40 followers at that time. He then also requested Dr. Clark to observe the debate between himself and his followers with the ulama of Lahore on 15th of June of that same year, 1893. And then Dr. Clark can essentially judge for himself who's preaching the correct Islam and who isn't. He then goes on to mention that some of the most righteous people from Makkah and Medina had already started taking the bai'at. And this is just one of the letters from one of the followers of the Promised Messiah Islam at that time. And this is from a prominent Arab scholar, Maulvi Hafiz Muhammad Yaqub Saab. It's a really beautiful letter that I'll just paraphrase. He's essentially accepting the Promised Messiah Islam as the Imam of the time, and he desperately wants to meet him in person. And he mentions the beauty of some of the Arabic work of the Promised Messiah Islam. And he mentions another Arab scholar who, after reading the poetry of the Promised Messiah Islam, is almost drawn to tears, and he swears an oath to Allah to commit these poems to memory. So we can say, even at that time, only 4 years into his claim, how much love and devotion people had to the Promised Messiah Islam. And then in response to these letters, he says how the people of his own country declare him as a disbeliever. And he describes their hearts like those of the Jews who were ungrateful and showed a lack of respect to Allah. He wants his followers to grieve for the current state of Muslims in the whole world, and he's very gladdened by such righteous people joining his community, but at the same time he wants them to pray and feel his pain and anguish for the state of Muslims in the world at that time. Then the Promised Messiah Islam, he produces an extract from a letter from that Christian missionary, Abdullah Atham Saab, where he states quite clearly that if Dr. Martin Clark is defeated in this debate through logical arguments, or if Atham Saab is shown a heavenly sign himself, then he would accept Islam. And this is just a summary of that extract of that letter. And then coming to the end now, the Promised Messiah Islam, he then goes on to mention certain mullahs. One of the examples given was Abdullah Haq Ghaznavi Sahib, who had issued a challenge of a mubahala, so prayer duel. So in response to all of these challenges of scholars and Maulwis, who consider the Prophet Islam to be a disbeliever. He challenged them to a mubahala in Amritsar on the day of the debate with the Christians in Amritsar in 1893. And this would be at the Eidgah of that time, which was next to a mosque called the Muhammad Shah Mosque. He then also named some other people specifically who had challenged him to a mubahala to attend on that same day, including some of us might know, a well-known enemy of the Prophet Islam, Sheikh Muhammad Batalwi Sahib. The Prophet Islam, he posted this invite to all of these people. He said that after this announcement, those who reject the invitation such people should stop issuing their edicts of disbelief against the promised Messiah Islam. And prior to the mubahala, he says he'll deliver a presentation on why I'm Muslim to all of these Maulvis who accuse him of being a non-believer. And then just right at the end of the book, he challenges Sheikh Muhammad Hussain Batalwi Sahib again, in particular, that if he does not participate in this mubahala, then it will be decided that prophecy in regards to him, that he will repent of having called the Prophet Islam a disbeliever. That prophecy has been fulfilled if he declines this invitation. And then finally, the Prophet Islam, he finishes with the prayer shown. O my Lord, curse those who do evil, transgress and make mischief, and humiliate with defeat those who do not enter into this mubahala, which has been agreed upon in terms of its time and place. And to those who do not repent of calling me a disbeliever, nor seek penance for their evil deeds. Ameen. O ye who reject me, come unto that which God and his messenger have prescribed for the silencing of disbelievers. But if you should turn away, know that the curse of God befalls the disbelievers, whose fear and retreat is a testimony to their falsehood. And that's the main. So it's a very short book. It's only about 21 pages actually. So it's something you can read in a few minutes, within about half an hour. A lot of his books are like that actually. So yeah, that's the mainstay of this book. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Hamza. So just to reiterate that point, that these books are really short, but they are very deep in meaning, and you can speak about these books for a long time. So it's really hard actually to extract just a few slides from it. It's very difficult actually. So just thank Jazakallah for being able to give us a little glimpse. But it's also the best way is to be able to read it yourself. So anyone who has that interested should really look into that.